How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a... Well, I know you're probably not having a lovely day. We're going to stop right there. We're post-Bengals game. Bengals supposed to win. In the back of my head, it did feel like, hey, this could be a trap game because the Bengals they just can't figure things out to start the season. But at the same time, it's like, we're going to stay optimistic. I'm being an optimistic Bengals fan. Joe Burrow's healthy. The continuity in the offensive line is the best it's ever been entering a season. Continuity in defense, didn't even lose a lot of players there. We're worried about the interior of the defense, but besides that, we'll be all right. Felt like things could roll easily this season, but once again, we've seen the Bengals get off to a slow start, something the Bengals historically have done now, pretty much in the entirety of the Zach Taylor era. Even looking back now in Joe Burrow's rookie year, you wonder where the Bengals go if they don't get off to a slow start. It just happens. And if he stays healthy, of course. But we've seen this historically, the slow starts, and we've seen not only just the start of the season, but even throughout the season where the Bengals offense would just be completely gone, disappearing throughout the games. And the question now becomes, what is your biggest concern and takeaway from this football game? And we got to mention, let's look at the positives first of all. Zach Moss did end up averaging 4.9 yards per carry. If it looked like he was running with a vengeance in the second half, I really like what I seen out of him. I do. He had the drop. He had some drops in there. Would have liked to get rid of those, but it does feel like this guy can be a good fit for this offense, and I like that. I like seeing those guys got some explosiveness. You can do some of everything. Gesicki even getting involved there. The tight ends getting involved a lot in this game. The Gesicki one was so close to that touchdown. Hudson obviously losing the ball at the goal line. Tough to see there. It looked like he was trying to extend the ball into the end zone, which is a big mistake there. You see the vision. There's 3 Patriots around him. He's trying to extend to get into the end zone. Just fall forward. Just worry about that. But that's a big mistake. That stuff, when you look at it, you look back and say, that stuff's going to get cleaned up. It stings right now. It sticks out now because you're losing the game. But I feel like that stuff gets cleaned up. You don't worry about that. Bengals will figure that stuff out. No question about it. Like I said, the Zach Moss coming in there, promising, looking good. Bengals defense, was getting carved up a little bit early in the game. But again, we expected that. We mentioned, remember in the preview, we kind of brought it up, said, hey, don't think the Bengals are going to put, hold this team to 7 points or 9 points just because it's a nobody team of a bunch of young players, backup career quarterbacks kind of going around the league. No, because this is a fresh team. We didn't know what to expect out of this coaching staff. That's difficult to game plan against. You got to remember, these are professional football teams. Difficult to game plan against for Lou Anarumo, especially when you knew there was going to be a weakness on that defensive line because you already lost your best pass defender. You really didn't do anything to fill that void in the offseason. And the Patriots, again, proved that, right? They dominated in the trenches. So you kind of expected that. So for Lou to hold a team to 16, a bad football team to 16, I don't blame him at all. Because your offense, it's 16 against a bad team, but it was going to use it again. We brought the Bengals reference in a preview saying, remember when the Bengals played the Seahawks, they scored 20-21, moving the ball up and down the field. Andy Dalton was slinging it in that game. Ended up going 2-14 on the year, but because there wasn't a game plan for Zach Taylor because he was such a new coach, no resume, it was hard for even a defensive mastermind like Pete Carroll and company over there in Seattle to slow the Bengals down to start. Second half adjustments came, things weren't, figured it out. So I don't really blame Lou for that reason. We have to keep that in mind. You can only do so much if you can't stop a team in the trenches. But that's my concern. Easily, we was pounding this table as much as we possibly could about saying why it did not make sense to sign Ja'Marr Chase. Sure, he can be a heck of a player. He can be a heck of an addition. But there was all this focus on signing Ja'Marr Chase. Heck, people are saying, well, they can afford Ja'Marr and afford T. Higgins. They can make it work. What was the average? Was like $3 million something per player. You'd have to average out for the rest of the team. If you had him, Ja'Marr, and T. Higgins under Ja'Marr and T under contract, it was going to be difficult because he said, okay, so you're going to have to draft and groom all these defensive and offensive linemen, something you've struggled with, because you ain't going to be able to pay them. And we're seeing that. You can throw some of these guys, the middle tier guys, $6-7 million a year, but you're still not getting the elite play. It's not transitioning. And that is my concern with the Bengals. It's the trenches. You went up against a team that was supposed to be, again, a lot of people were predicting to be the worst record in football this year. Just not good on paper. A lot of young guys, a lot of not a lot of turnover there where they just a new regimen. They was gonna have some ugly days before they turn things around. And you got dominated in the trenches on both sides. And that's why I said I don't care. We'll stand by to this day. There was some big plays. Again, Ja'Marr, excellent plays, brought some great moments, some happy times to Cincinnati. But to this day, it's clear as day that Penny Sewell was the better option. Because look at Detroit. Look at how good their run game is. Look at how good their quarterback plays. Look how good their offense is. An offense that was just supposed to be in a transition phase. They had no expectations out of Jared Goff. He ain't even supposed to be there. If they draft Jamar and don't have Penny Sewell, who is now looking like the best left tackle in the league, can you imagine where they're at if they're averaging 2.5 yards per carry? Jared Goff's forced to throw football under duress. He ain't there. And that's what the Bengals are. You're forcing an all-pro, elite, top-2 quarterback to throw under duress with a weapon, but with no offensive line protecting. We've seen it early in this game. 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain on the ground, and then Burrow had the scramble in the first play, got sacked on the second one. All of a sudden, the next drive, it's like, all right, run, nowhere. 3rd and long, can't go anywhere with the football. It wasn't until the Bengals drove down the field to kick that field goal where we actually seen them open up the field a little bit. Jamar was open down the middle, but a lot of the stuff, Jamar wouldn't have been involved if it wasn't for a design dink and dunk plays that are, easy opens, easy outs, if you will, like the screen pass they had to him. And that stuff glares to me because we're always so focused on the shiny objects on the outside. But it's the guys down the middle in the trenches that are ever so important. Because let's say, again, we'll go back to the Penny Sewell thing. Let's say you have that all-pro at the left tackle. You can afford to throw a lot of money at the left guard position. Now, all of a sudden, we run that football out of the left side of the field. You're getting 4 yards. You're getting 5 yards. You're getting 6 yards out of the run game. And now, all of a sudden, it's 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. A lot more manageable, even for a team with a slow start. Because you're getting that initial push off the offensive line. Makes life a lot easier for that quarterback. Makes life a lot easier. Now we can run the ball if we had to on 3rd and 4. We ain't putting Burrow's health at risk. They have to plan to stop the run. But right now, there's no plan to stop the run because they haven't been able to prove they can establish it. For me, that's huge. That's massive. And I don't feel like that's changing in Cincinnati. Second is, again, the defensive line. There's been a lot of people blaming Lou Anarumo for this game. Like I said, I don't blame him. You lost your best rush defender, I should say, and DJ Reader, who when he was on the field was game changing. I think it felt like he may have taken a step back last year. Maybe he was hurt, but when he was on and off the field before that, it was clear as day how much better the run defense was. And it didn't bring in anybody to address that. You brought in some pass rushers. They didn't really bring in a run stuffer. Drafted a guy hoping, you draft a couple of guys hoping they can fill voids and stuff, but they didn't really sign a guy. What was you supposed to do? You can only do so much as a defensive coordinator. You've seen him play a little bit more aggressive early in the game, try to get in the face of Brissett. I like that game plan. Force a guy like that to make a mistake. They're not really ready for anything. See what they got. Force him to make a mistake. And he did make some bad passes. But you got to win in the trenches. That's what cost the Bengals. To get dominated in the trenches by a team that is supposed to be that bad is a giant concern and red flag to me. You think they're going to beat Kansas City, a team that is happy to run the football now and win Super Bowl running the football? If they couldn't stop the Patriots, imagine going up against that Kansas City offensive line. Imagine going against Chris Jones and company on that defensive side. And that's the problem with the Bengals. If you have that offensive line, if you're winning in the trenches, it's a lot easier to get ahead early when things aren't clicking in a pass game. You make those drops and those mistakes in a pass game. All of a sudden, it's like, well, it's okay, though, because the run game has been bailing us out. When you don't have that fallback option, you're solely dependent on the pass game. Zach Moss ran the ball 9 times a day, averaged 5 yards a carry. Because there was those couple ones early in the game that put them behind the 8 ball, they kind of got away from it. But they don't have a chance to establish it because they just haven't proven they can establish it, and they have to get away from it. It's a difficult dynamic that is avoidable if you're good in the trenches. I'll die on the hill. I will. Could be completely wrong. I don't feel like it's been proven yet. We've had 4 years to figure, kind of prove it, where just if the coaching staff can't build a formidable offensive line, maybe they have the talent and they just can't coach it up. Maybe we got to look at the coaching staff and consider a new coaching staff, but something ain't clicking with that, with the trenches. And life's a lot easier when it's clicking. Look at Sanford. Look at the teams in the Super Bowl last year. Ain't neither one of them. Look at the Patriots today. That bunch of nobodies out wide. They said, who's going to beat the Bengals? They ain't got no playmakers. Dominating them in the trenches, though, and won the football game. I still don't know a player on the Patriots. Is Kendrick Bourne still a wide receiver over there? Even after today, nobody made an impact. Secondary did all right there. You just couldn't get them off the field because they was winning in the trenches. Joe Mixon. I'll be the first to admit I was wrong on this one. Joe Mixon today. Woo. Most rush yards in a game since November of 2021 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. His first game in Houston. Is that a coincidence? No. No, it's not. I'll be the first one to admit I was wrong, thinking maybe Mixon's a problem and you get a new running back. And again, Miles did have some flashes that didn't look good, but Mixon proved, the first game in Houston that he's got something left in the tank. You just put an offensive line in front of him, he's going to make some work. That's the difference. But again, looking at the positive, they have some young guys. You see Mims coming in on offense. Hopefully he can be a game changer there, and you just have to hope that comes to fruition there. But until then, you gotta go to Kansas City. You gotta figure out how to beat Kansas City. It doesn't feel good right now, because they have to find a way to get ahead early, and they just haven't proven that a lot of times in a Zach Taylor era. And again, I wonder if we stop looking at the shiny objects out wide and you find a way to beat teams in the trenches a little bit more, if that fixes that issue, because it's a heck of a lot easier to get your footing going. You see it in every team. Let's get the confidence going in the run game. Make it easier on the quarterback. Quarterback makes a mistake, run it a few times, get the confidence going. Consistency. We'll see. Even again, go back to the Bengals drive where there's methodical. Where Matt Moss was was going up and down the field. They opened things up to chase. Moss was running the football well. The running game is so important and complementary to the passing game, no matter how pass heavy the league is, and the Bengals still haven't figured that out. Number one concern for me. We'll see what happens. Love y'all thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.